चिनोड़ी दे दें, बहुत बदमाश है। मछली में लोगे दाल, दाल किस में लोगे? अरे पीछे हो जा, आगे आया है बैठे।
Hi, this is Paula Gloria welcoming you to Global Public Access. New Reality's Global Public Access is about bringing you a better reality TV by showing you all parts of the world, the people from all parts of the world, seeing them and hearing from them, and also we want to develop this so you can express yourselves to them. Later on in this show we're going to have a live call-in so you can give us some feedback about what you think about what we're going to be showing you today. Today I'm standing right here at the head of a very windy entranceway to the Nizamuddin Dargah. Dargahs are cemeteries, resting places, mausoleums for very holy saints. This is particularly strong in the Muslim religion. for people find great inspiration to sit next to the remains of a saint, a person who's highly accomplished, who in his lifetime overcame many obstacles and brought much goodwill and much service to people. People today find inspiration in their own personal lives to overcome whatever problems they have, that they may find a greater meaning. So come with me and we'll see more about the Nizamuddin Dargah. Follow me. This is the place that people flock to for inspiration even today. They feel their worries, their pressures are put into better perspective by being in the presence even of the remains of individuals who faced huge problems in their own life and yet overcame these problems with a great affinity with divinity, because all of these saints always acknowledge their great ability to feed thousands of people, to give inspiration to sick people, to give healings to sick people. All of it comes from God. So here we are finally into the Nizamuddin Dargah. The Nizamuddin Dargah is filled, as you can see, with many graves. Now, to Westerners, this seems like a strange idea to be coming to cemeteries for inspiration, and yet this is a very important part of this culture. For very, very great saints have been buried here. Here we are now by the Nizamuddin final resting place itself. Women are not allowed to go inside, but you'll see here on the outside, oftentimes they'll come, the women will be praying on the outside, putting their attention, of course, on the life and the meaning of the life of this great Sufi master Nizamuddin. To us Westerners, we don't usually like to think about death, and usually cemeteries are something that, although we're respectful about the remains of our departed ones, we don't really create an object of focus like they do here in the East, particularly the Muslim community. The feeling is that life is very transitory, it's ephemeral, we're not here for very long. So when in the middle of our busy day, we take the time to come to a place like this, we're reminded about what's important and what isn't important. We begin to realize that even great masters, even great saints like Nizamuddin, like his disciples, had their challenges. They were concerned about the people that were hungry. They were concerned about the people that were sick, that needed healings. But they felt that they got their power and their ability to serve the people through their great love for Allah, for God. And by putting attention through their devotional worship on Allah, on God, some of them became so close that they had huge gifts that were given to them. Nizamuddin himself said that there were a couple indications of a holy man's life before the miracles would express themselves. One was that for such a saint, in his everyday waking activity, he would see things that most of us only see in our dreams. Another condition that he talked about that was necessary for a man who was displaying the miracles was that he would have the ability to influence other people in the same way that we can influence parts of our body. I make a desire for my finger to move and my finger moves. These great masters could influence other people in that way. Because they were so close to Allah, so close to God, their influence was one of great divinity and great blessings. They would pour their blessings onto the people, and rich or poor, the people would flock around. These saints, I cannot emphasize to you enough, as I started to study them more and more, had the same problems that we have today. They just busied themselves with serving the people. After they got their huge inspiration through their spiritual practices of alignment with divinity, of alignment with Allah, they would go out and they would feed masses and masses of people. They would heal masses and masses of people. They would inspire the emperors and the great rulers. Even at this Dargah, Shah Jahan's daughter is buried here. Shah Jahan was the man who had such love for his wife. When she passed away, he built the Taj Mahal. Thousands and thousands of tourists today flock to see the beauty and the majesty of the Taj Mahal. His daughter is buried in this spot. So you can imagine if a princess would choose to leave her mortal remains next to a holy master, where really is the inspiration coming for these great cultural achievements? Great achievements in music and art. So much is recognized even in the West. Arabic numerals came from this culture, from this part of the world. It is so worthwhile for us to put our attention on the lives of these great masters and allow them to help us to peep into the door of what it means to be aligned with supernatural divinity. Who is Allah? Who is God? And can this power of God come into our lives, bless those around us, and can we participate in a world that's filled with this type of belief, no matter if we're Christians or Muslims or Hindus? And today the question is, with globalization, with terrorism, with the problems that we're facing, how can we gather the energy and the resources to see our way clear of seemingly insurmountable problems? When we pause and reflect, when we sit by the graves of those who have passed before us, we begin to see that the problems that we're facing are not really unique. Situations of fear, jealousy, greed, grappling around, it's not a new thing. It's part of human nature. And so this is why the emphasis is put on divine nature and whether indeed as human beings we can raise to divinity. These great individuals in their lifetime indicated that we could. There was something deeper, more important, more lofty inside all of us. And if we could tap into that and bring it out, we can make a better world, slowly, slowly, bit by bit. In this particular dargah, the people who are overseeing it say that these saints don't belong to Muslims any more than they belong to any other seeker of truth or lover of God. So if we keep that in mind, particularly for those of us in the western part of the world, Judeo-Christianity, we can see that this notion of God and who God chooses to bring close to Him is very vast. It's very deep and profound, and it becomes very narrow for us to define that God only loves in this and that a way. For when He brings special people close to Him and He gives them huge powers, huge abilities to do miracles, He's brought people close to Him who He's trusted will help the humanity. And if there's anything you learn from studying the religions, is that God is love. And part of love is helping all and helping others. So if there's suffering, to help to alleviate that. If there's physical pain, to bring the healings. If there's hunger, to bring the food. And certainly, if there is thirst for knowledge, to bring that wisdom. This is what we can learn from the Masters. So this is Paula Gloria on behalf of New Realities Global Public Access, thanking you for joining this part of the show at the Nizamuddin Dargah. Please join us when we go to the Jama Masjid and put attention on a remarkable saint's life who was decapitated, picked up his head, asked for divine justice, and then we're going to find out what happens. There'll be a call-in so you can give comments on what you think about this. If you think this is so, if you don't think this is so, no matter what you think, how you think the world can be a better world, a safer world, so that we can feel secure and also be respected for our uniqueness. The cultures are all have their particular flavor. Thank you for joining me experiencing this particular flavor. Welcome back to Global Public Access, New Realities Global Public Access. I'm Paula Gloria. What we try to do on this show is stimulate communication and discussion in all parts of the world. So earlier in the show we saw the dargahs, dargahs, the final resting place of saints, holy people. Now what many do not realize, many in the West realize that Muslims are very concerned with one God, as Christians and as Jews are. But Muslims concerned of one God, Allah, it can also be problematic in that those who have achieved this oneness with Allah and have demonstrated this achievement of oneness through miracle powers, siddhis, as would be called in more Hindu terminology, meaning supernatural powers, these individuals, oftentimes it was felt by those who were controlling the religion that they would confuse the masses. That in other words, the masses would be more concerned with the saints than with the message of the saints. In other words, the message of the saints is that Allah is a great power, the greatest power. The power of God is the only divine power, and by tuning into this power, we can solve all of our problems. So the Sufi saints, the Sufis were, we would say, perhaps a sect of Islam that were believing in one God, but were believing in a very flexible way. Their total focus was on love, and they felt that love could embrace all. And through this embracing of all, there were great heights of culture, of music, of poetry, and of architecture. This is one of the most inspiring monuments to me in Delhi. The Sufi saints, oftentimes in their great rapture and God intoxication, would begin to understand all systems of approach to God. So they would see even in the idol worship that there was a great wisdom there. The important thing is that the heart would be opened. Now behind me is the final resting place of not a very well-known saint, but who accomplished something tremendous, and that's Sarmad. Sarmad, in his time, was so God intoxicated that he would oftentimes be unaware completely of his physical condition. He wouldn't even be aware of whether he was wearing clothes or not. The fact that he would be going around without clothes became a big problem for the authorities. He was going against convention. And Islamic law says you must wear clothes. Eventually this came to a head in that he had such love of the people, whereas the emperor did not have such love of the people. The emperor gave the order for Sarmad to be beheaded. Upon receiving the news that he was going to be beheaded, Sarmad said, "How great my God is. I was having a headache, and now I will be relieved of this headache." Now we can say, the guy must be crazy, and oftentimes these saints were considered crazy. But to show how sincere Sarmad was in this belief that he would be relieved of a headache, on the day that he was executed, very possibly at the foot of all of these steps, his head rolled off his body, and Sarmad, without a head, walked over, picked up his head, and all the while claiming that he was God because his identification with Allah was so great, he didn't know where God began and where God ended, where he began, where he ended. Everything to him was God. I am totally believing that Sarmad, in a headless condition, did pick up his head that rolled away after it was severed by the executioner off his body. He picked up his head, he walked up 3 steps, and he was demanding divine justice. Now there's the claim then is that from the heavens a voice came, and that was his heavenly teacher telling him, "Sarmad, put down your head. You were not angry in life. Why are you angry now after your head has been cut off? Drop the head, drop the body, let nature take its course. If you do not, there will be great bloodshed, great revolution." This is the tomb of Sarmad. Even 400 years later, many believers are coming to seek inspiration and solace, even being next to his remains. It's quite an extraordinary energy. Again, although the tale is so ridden with strife and blood, he had his head chopped off by the emperor. He proceeded to march up with a headless body, asking for divine justice. His master from the ethereal planes told him that he was never angry in life. Why should he be angry now? And just to drop the head and let nature take its course. And yet nature takes its course even 400 years later when people are coming here and feeling the energy. It seems very narrow-minded to say, ignore these saints and do not be inspired by these saints, for they're taking you away from Allah. In truth, I feel they only remind, even 400 years later, of the greatness of Allah and how the powers are given to the great, great lovers, the God-intoxicated ones. And surely Sarmad was one of the greatest. If you think about it, there's great wisdom that this was all that humanity could understand in those days. The head had to be dropped, the body had to collapse. Had Sarmad been able to complete Khandana Yoga, for in ancient Hinduism and in ancient scriptures, there is documentation and there is a science of yoga. And the science goes all the way to say that parts of the body can be cut off and they can be put back on again. And this ability comes as a siddhi, as a power, as a gift from the Divine Mother. And the Divine Mother is the only one who is totally understanding all of the powers of creation, which is, after all, an illusion. So what Sarmad was doing is he was playing with the illusion, but he was playing in a very divine way, and many hundreds, if not thousands, witnessed this. I'm hoping that this show will stir controversy. People will say it's impossible for a man to live without his head. Other people might say, well, quantum mechanics is telling us we're animated by a force beyond what food can account for, and so theoretically, by modern science, it may indeed be possible for a body to be animated without the head on it and give rise to such a demonstration. I'm hoping that an audience in New York, that this will be telecast live, that you'll be calling in and you'll be giving your opinions. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, it doesn't matter. The point is that now we are standing in a certain crisis time. We have weapons of mass destruction, the power that Aurangzeb, the seemingly cruel emperor, but who I feel is an emperor who had a part to play. He was the one who had to order the execution at this time of a saint who had grown so popular with the people that he was posing to be a political threat. Aurangzeb had great power, enormous power. The people were afraid of him. He doesn't have nearly the power that America has today. He didn't have nearly the power that we have with our weapons of mass destruction. I'm saying, let's call in, let's share ideas, let's share opinions. Do you think that Sarmad, whose final remains are resting over there at the foot of this great architectural achievement of a mosque, do you think that Sarmad, after being decapitated, that he indeed walked up these steps, asked for divine justice, and then was told by his master from an ethereal plane to drop the head because humanity could not yet handle such a feat, that he should let nature take its course? Are we ready today for nature to take its course in a higher order? Can we bring together our greatest thinkers? And you, the viewer, on Global Public Access, whether you're in New York, whether you're in Bangalore and Delhi, I please beg you to call in and share your opinion, because your opinion is helping to shape world consciousness, and world consciousness alone will give us our solutions to the huge problems that we're facing today. This is Paula Gloria thanking you for joining me and all of the citizens of Delhi, people who are heirs to this great miracle. on New Realities Global Public Access. New Realities Global Public Access is all about bringing you a better reality TV. Here, over 400 years ago, a very great event happened at the Jama Masjid. This is a great mosque in Delhi. At this site, a cruel emperor beheaded a saint. This saint picked up his head. His body was severed from the head rolled away, he picked it up, and he walked up these steps asking for divine justice. His master on an ethereal plane told him to drop the head and let nature run its course. I'm proposing that today nature can run its course and we can better understand this miracle as being an expression of Khandana Yoga, which is where body parts that are severed can be reattached. Of course, Sarma, the great saint, was not able to reattach his head to his body because he was advised that there would be revolution and huge bloodshed that would come about as a result of that. But hundreds of years later, we face times of weapons of mass destruction, but we also have quantum mechanics to understand that our body is not fueled by bread alone, rather by vibration. So again, Paula Gloria from New Realities Global Public Access, welcoming you to the Jama Masjid, asking you to stay tuned and call in with your opinion about this event and how it relates to global situations.
Hi, Paula. It's Demetria. I just called to say you were really extraordinary yesterday. You're really a great teacher. And it was just so wonderful the way you integrated kind of metaphysical, physical, spiritual health and the essence of all the elements. And you kind of united that totally with a poetic spontaneity that was extremely rare, I think, and I think you definitely have this gift, for doing that, and you're so original. It's like no one could lecture like that. It's extraordinary the ground you covered and the integration of your experiences, your knowledge, and your spiritual essence. And I just wanted to say it was marvelous, marvelous. And by the way, I don't know if you're free next Tuesday at 7, but I'm going to a reception at the Greek ambassador's house. Bye. 4:29 a.m. Sunday.
Alex? Helicopters, and over this way is kind of a nice eating place. And here is how I look on my bicycle.
Está bien bueno, mi amor. Sí. Bueno.